So, all 4 episodes of Marvel Zombies drop together. If you sit down to watch them, you'll realize it feels like a 2-hour-long zombie movie fun to watch, but I still have a few thoughts about it. Let's go one by one, starting with episode 1. If you remember that What If, Zombies episode, this is actually the same universe's story. In fact, the story shown there is carried forward here but not the way I expected. There's actually a 5-year time jump. So, in What If, we saw the zombie outbreak begin during Infinity War. Now, in Marvel Zombies, 5 years have passed since that event, and characters like Riri Williams, Kate Bishop, and Kamala Khan are still alive, somehow surviving. The whole world looks completely different now. In What If, everything felt like a fresh apocalypse, like Grand Central Station looking newly destroyed. But now, 5 years later, vegetation has grown everywhere. Plants are reclaiming cities. It kind of gives off a Last of Us vibe. Riri, Kamala, and Kate are exploring, and we learn they still have Tony Stark's Mark 50 armor. This confirms the timeline right after Infinity War. Remember, in What If, the virus spread during Infinity War itself, and here too we see hints of it. One big hint is Iron Man's armor. Now, this nanotech armor is under the control of Friday, which Riri hot-wired. She controls it remotely and communicates through it. Think of it not exactly as Iron Man's armor anymore, but more like a multi-purpose gadget being used occasionally. And if you're wondering how does Friday even see or experience the world? Well, there's a camera hidden inside a teddy bear's head, which acts as her eyes. Meanwhile, Kamala still carries her sloth plushie with wings, a fun little callback. In her comics and series, that sloth toy is like her personal mascot. Nice little Easter egg. Then, these 3 stumble upon a Quinjet crash site. Inside, they find a shrunk transmitter, thanks to PIM particles. But suddenly, Hawkeye shows up as a zombie shooting arrows at them. What I really liked here is that zombie superheroes retain their abilities. For example, Hawkeye, though a zombie, still fires arrows with the same deadly accuracy, even pulling off trick shots. The virus hasn't dulled his skills much. Anyway, escaping from there, they discover that transmitter was tied to something called Project Lifeshot. Now, in the comics, there's no such thing, it's made up for the show. Basically, this device can broadcast on an emergency frequency to the Nova Corps, calling them to Earth. But here's the issue: something happened in Wakanda that prevents signals from leaving Earth. So, the only way to call Nova is by going into space. Not knowing this yet, the group heads first to a SHIELD base in Ohio using a vehicle Riri built called Uhura, a fun nod to Star Trek's Nyota Uhura. On their journey, they reach the Valley of Broken Gods, a place where 2 insanely powerful heroes, Ikaris, from Eternals, and Carol Danvers, have been endlessly fighting. Neither can win, neither can lose. It's a cool visual, definitely one of my favorite sequences. We even get a fantastic one-shot scene of Kamala running for her life while behind her, Carol and Ikaris battle it out, causing huge collateral damage. She stumbles, uses her powers clumsily, but barely makes it out alive. A really fun sequence. But then tragedy strikes. Riri gets bitten by a zombie. Kate Bishop dies. Riri injects herself with some device to slow the infection, but after that, she isn't seen again. Friday tries to save her, but she's presumed dead. At this point, Blade enters the story, but not just Blade. He's now merged with Khonshu, making him the Blade of Khonshu. Since Mark Spector, Moon Knight, fell during the apocalypse, Khonshu chose Blade as his new avatar. Pretty epic idea. Blade and Kamala head to Ohio, where they find the Widow family, Melina, Yelena, Red Guardian, and other Black Widows. They've built a safe zone, controlling zombies using Melina's Red Room tech from the Black Widow movie. But trouble arrives. Okoye, now under Wanda's control, brings a zombie army with her, including Abomination, Ghost, Hawkeye, and even a bisected Captain America, cut in half by Bucky during their duel. Great nod to What If. A huge battle follows. Black Widows, survivors, and even some zombies try to fight back, but Zombie Cap, Ghost, and Abomination are too strong. Blade gets one amazing sword fight with Ghost, probably his best moment in the show. But in the chaos, Melina sacrifices herself. That's episode 1. Episode 2 shifts to Shang-Chi in San Francisco, still working as a valet. Suddenly, a zombie outbreak hits. We learn the origin: Hank Pym and Janet. When Hank rescued Janet from the quantum realm, she carried a quantum virus, the zombie virus. She infected Hank, and together they unleashed it. We get a nice action sequence, zombies of different sizes spilling out of Pym's lab. Wenwu enters dramatically, using the 10 rings to save people. But his only goal is to save Shang-Chi. Tragically, when Shang-Chi gets bitten, Wenwu gives him the 10 rings before dying. Then another 5-year time jump, confirming this timeline's endgame is essentially Marvel Zombies. Shang-Chi and Katie now lead a Mad Max, Fury Road-style survivor convoy. They eventually reach City on the Sea, revealed to be the Raft prison, now repurposed into a survivor city under Baron Zemo, guarded by U.S. agent John Walker. Pretty clever idea. But soon we learn Atlantis is infected, including King Namor. Zemo knew about this and secretly sacrificed people to the Atlantean zombies as tribute. Namor himself, boosted by Wanda's control, attacks. What follows is one of the best fights of the series: Namor vs. Kamala, with her bangle, Shang-Chi, with the rings, Blade, with Khonshu's power, and Red Guardian. Even together, they barely hold him back. Shows just how powerful Namor really is. Eventually, Kamala manages to wound him, but it's clear she only survived thanks to backup. After defeating Namor, the survivors realize Kamala must reach space to send the signal. And the only path to space is through New Asgard. Subscribe for part 2. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers together. Tell me in the comments which hero is more powerful as a zombie than as a human.